Hello, everybody. I'm here today to give you all a little tour, Tableau Public, how our data repository works, and how exactly you will go about updating data in Tableau. So, without further ado, I'm going to go and first give you just a little tour of what exactly Tableau Public looks like. So, we use a school government account. And Stephanie can give you the login info should you need it. But the big ones we have right now are DataSnap version 1 and version 2, the local government in North Carolina Tableau, and there are a few other ones that we have for special projects and whatnot. There's a training session that I made, and yeah, a few other random things. But let's just take a look at DataSnap version 2 and give you all a short little preview of what it looks like. So it'll take you here, just giving you sort of a preview of what one of the maps looks like. So the way I organized DataSnap is there's a splash page where it's sort of just gives you an overview, talks about it, then you hit the Get Started button, and then it takes you to the home page. This is a clickable and mutable map where we have pretty much all of our metrics in here, where you can click on any of these different ones. It's going to populate this. This little box that pops up is called your tooltip. You can edit what happens in here. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. These other pages are clickable and scrollable. It's pretty easy. Sorry, the internet is a bit dodgy out here. Hopefully that's not a problem. But yeah, these dashboards have a bunch of different data on them. Some of them have what I call cul-de-sac pages, where like this one, if you go to that, it's more about crime rates. This one is more about all the different types of charges which are filed. This is about like jail occupancy and capacity. But they basically, you go to these pages and you can't navigate to any of the other main dashboards. You can just go back to the criminal justice page, which is the goal of those. So yeah, Tableau Public, super useful, and pretty much everything looks the same, luckily. It's laid out the same, rather. So you have the vises up here. You're able to download it, share it, and whatnot. But for updating and for really digging into all the different sheets, this is very useful. So this is where the metadata is stored. So this is the splash page, the home page. There's a tutorial video which I did. And each of the dashboards has to have a sheet which feeds into it. So like for that home page with the map, this individual sheet, which you can access down in the metadata, is what feeds into that main dashboard. So if this will ever load, you can take a look at that. Yeah, exactly. And so you have this, you have your legend, you have your filter over here additionally. And so whatever you have here in this, in these individual sheets, you add onto the homepage. So that's what this looks like. Pretty easy. And yeah, so now I'm going to show you all what exactly, how we are storing our data. So the big ones we have right now, this will get updated as we have more Tableau projects, but the data repository looks like this so far. We have the local government in North Carolina Tableau vises that we did for the textbook, and our work that we did for the Criminal Justice Innovation Lab here. This is the big one. If you're watching this video, you'll almost certainly not be updating DataSnap version 1. You're probably going to be updating version 2. So the big ones, yeah, like homepage. Yeah, pretty much all the Excel files are stored in here. It can be a little bit confusing. Some of these like doubled up when I copy them over here. I didn't delete them just in case, but like this little these squiggly ones, you should never actually need to use those. This was like the original data that we have, but this one is the important one. How do you know that? Well, the Google Doc guide. So I made this to make updating data super simple for you. I try to make it as easy and straightforward as possible. But yeah, so this Google Doc is sort of the one-stop shop guide. And as I say up here, to access the source data in that Google Doc, in that OneDrive folder, you can't just have the link. You have to have, Stephanie has to share this with you directly to your email. You need to log in with your Onion, and then you'll have access to it. So just make sure you have that before you need to access this. And the Google Doc, easy, you just get the link shared to you. So this is how it looks. This, when they are bolded, that is a dashboard. And let's look at DataSnap version 2. So the splash page, and I have all these linked, so it should be easy access for you. Yeah, all right, let's look at the home page. So the home page, when you click this, it pops up on Tableau Public. That is the name of the dashboard. Everything in italics below the dashboard are those source sheets, which are included on each dashboard. So those are the things that sort of feed into that main dashboard. You can access them on their own, but what we really want is people to be looking at those dashboards. So like in DataSnap, we have, these are the ones we want people accessing. You can go down here and you can look at like some of these like charts and graphs individually, but the real value in this lies in people accessing the dashboards. Because you can sort of filter by county and then see everything change in front of you for all the different vizzes. So that's really what we want. But I have included all of the sheets down here below each of the dashboard headings. They're all clickable. You can go to them. And below those are the data sources. So below each pertinent sheet, I have linked the source data in the OneDrive folder and just basically put a link to where the Excel file is. So for example, in this, this data location heading subheading means that everything above this in here is located at this location. And yeah, so that's how this works for. Yeah, so here you can see all the different metrics and the data. Tried to format them all similarly so that it's easy to look at. A note in Tableau, all of your data needs to be structured like this with in columns. So you need to have a heading in the first row, and you don't have to have it in the first row. Like there can be stuff above it, but it's a lot easier if it's just the first row. Tableau operates much easier when your data is formatted consistently, cleanly. So your heading in row 1, and then all of the data for that down here. And like for these, we want to sort by county, and usually just toss the counties in column A. So yeah, this is what it looks like. it follows the same pattern for all of these. Some of these, like on the secured bond citations and summons, one, it's nested in the criminal justice dashboard, so it's one of those cul-de-sac things. And I have multiple Excel spreadsheets for different things on the same dashboard. So yeah, this applies to all these, this applies to all these, etc. So yeah, it holds for the whole sheet. This should be super simple. And yeah, additionally, especially important for DataSnap, this is the master key. This shows all of the sheets and dashboards which we included in DataSnap, but it does not include all the metrics. We have a ton of different metrics. There are so many. So yeah, there's like this navigation page that I made, so you can look through it. But basically, these are all the metrics that are included on the home page. And yeah, criminal justice page, showing which ones are new for DataSnap version 2, demographics, economics, health, education. As I say on the Google Doc, if you were updating DataSnap, do not directly edit this. You should make a copy and make a new one if you're making version 3. Yeah, that's going to be a lot easier. So, where to go from here? This recording. Yeah, I can just go ahead and go into how you would go about updating data in Tableau. All right. So I'm going to show you all how exactly, if you wanted to update this, this viz here, if we wanted to add a new metric to the home page, you wanted to see a different one of these, we'll go under the hood and show you exactly how you would go about updating that. So what you're going to do is go and identify what exactly the sheet is that you want to update. So we know we want our homepage to change, and we know that this is our map. So we know that that needs to change. We find the data location. I'm not gonna update the master key since this is just a tutorial, but it's pretty formulaic. It's pretty formulaic. You really just follow the model that I have before. Yeah. So this one's called main landing page. It is a little bit different because the way Tableau works is each of these is currently has a location based on where these files are in my computer. So if you're updating this, you will be adding a different location. So what we want to do is you're going to need to go to this, and you're going to want to download it. And you're going to download it onto your computer. Copy to your computer. downloads. So you're going to go here. You find the sheet that you want to update. You're going to right click and duplicate it. These things you never really want to directly edit them, since that will change what's already on the web and what is already shared with stakeholders, and we don't want to like mess that up potentially. All right, so I'm going to continue showing exactly how you would update an individual sheet within a workbook, and then I'm going to show exactly how you would go about updating an entire viz. So this would be for more like on the fly work, and like if you needed to update one specific metric, but in a second I'll show if you want to make a whole different version of what we have created. So here, give your new map a different title. We have found that source data, exactly where it was. We've downloaded it. And so we are going to go in here and we are going to find the data. And so since the data is going to be in a different location on your computer than it is on mine, I'm just going to update it as if I am on your computer and I'm downloading this data for the first time. So you're going to go to data, edit data source, click on that. And then this is going to allow you to find and identify exactly where the data is that feeds into this sheet. So I think it probably landed in downloads. Here we go, main landing page. I'm going to update it. Brilliant. Let's see if it. Yep, so it looks like, let's just confirm that it's got the data from the right place. And sometimes if the data is a little bit funky, it doesn't identify the headers, so use data interpreter, and that almost always works. Something that's very useful most of the time. Cool. Looks like we identified that new one. And all right, so once you have that that new data source, we're going to actually go about updating. We're going to go about updating the actual data. Find out what we want to add. All right, so here's the Excel file. As I said, counties on the left. So we're just going to add a metric. I'm going to call it test school of government, and so all of these are 300. Save this, and then we're going to go in here, and we're going to update it. So you go to data, back to data source, and we're going to refresh. Exactly. So this is what you want to see. If you've modified filters, hidden fields, placing important data, are you sure you want to proceed? So that is always going to pop up when you have changed anything in your source data. And so, yes, don't click do not show again, because this is kind of like comforting to see almost when you get this notification. Sometimes, honestly, you have to like press refresh like 4 or 5 times. Make sure that your workbook's saved. Close your workbook, open it again. It can be sticky, but seeing this is usually good. Yes. Let's see, it may not have updated. Let's do it here. Source. Yeah, it is not in here yet. Refresh it again. Yes, there we go. All right. Brilliant. So now we have something. It may be more useful for me to have something different than 300 so you all can actually see how to edit this. Let's do it. Change this up so that we can be a little more illustrative. There we go. All right. So I pretty much just ranked these 1 to 100 in alphabetical order. And so, yeah. So you're in Tableau. You have all of the different measure values here. So these are the different names of the measure values, and they're all categorized by demographic data, or sorry, demographic, geography, criminal justice, economics, health and education. So this test one is down here. So one thing you might notice is we have decimal points here. All of these are even numbers, so we don't actually need those decimal places, and it just kind of makes it look a little clunky. So what you're wanting to do is press on the different measure value, hit this little drop down or right click, and then you go to default properties, number format, click it, and then you have all these different options. So scientific, pretty much never going to need, percentage, self-explanatory, currency, standard, US dollars. If you're not doing US dollars, you can do this. Or if you want to change the amount of decimal places, you go here. You can change how negative values look and whatnot. What we're going to do is number custom, change the decimal places to none. And here, if you have something weird, like say you were doing like beer statistics and you wanted your measure values to show up in kegs, it's less illustrative if you just have one. But if you want it to say one keg, you go to suffix, space, kegs. It's pretty simple. You can change the prefix. If you needed some prefix, whatnot. So cool. Now we have 0. And I mentioned tooltip earlier. So this is your tooltip. It's pretty simple, but you can do a lot of cool things with the tooltips, to be honest. And so right here, we have county. And because you always, like on these North Carolina maps of counties, you always want that county, and then you want it to display the county that you have selected or hovering over. And then here, within the greater than and less than symbols, you have measure names. So this is going to have the different measure name up here, and then it's going to display, after the colon, it's going to display the measure value. You can type this in manually or go into insert and insert it here. Very, very useful to have those sort of changing things in the tooltip. That's really where the customization of Tableau sort of shines. And then you can add whatever disclaimer you want down here. The one thing that there's a limitation in the tooltip, of which unfortunately you cannot have a custom tooltip for different things in a dropdown. So say, for example, I wanted to have the living wage here. If I want a different disclaimer at the bottom, maybe adding a source or something, you cannot create a custom tooltip for each different metric in a dropdown. So if I wanted a different source for living wage versus the bachelor's degree education rate, I could not. So for these maps, you sort of have a custom disclaimer, and we have all of the different sources linked at the bottom of each separate dashboard. But yeah, the tooltip is cool. Let's look at the color. So color is another way that you can really add some pop to the maps and really get differentiation in the map. So right now, you assign one of these different things to these different color pills. And so right now, measure values is what we have color. So that's really what's always going to be your color differentiator, is the actual number value that changes based on the county. So yeah, that is very important. You can click color. Let me edit colors here, but it's actually more valuable here. What I've done is I have changed. You notice they're not all the same color. Some of these economic things, you want to use green, money, and for like crime rates, I've used darker colors where there is more crime. And so you assign them individually by going to these pills over here, right-clicking, default properties instead of number format like we went to earlier. You get color, and you just get to choose your color. It's not really fancy blue. Let's just choose this. Yeah, and see, this one's a lot harder to tell. Sometimes when you choose your own color, for some reason it's less saturated than these default ones. But yeah, and some of these gradient ones, like blue to teal, orange to gold, green to gold, these are really valuable. I like these. These make your maps look quite beautiful. Yeah. And so you can really do this process as much as you want. You can go into the Excel file. You can add different metrics, add the values, and really just go from there. You can delete metrics if we have identified metrics that need to be deleted. And yeah, so that is how you update an individual sheet. And what I should show you is, so if we wanted to link this new map to the homepage, what we would do is we would delete this here, we'd remove it from the dashboard, and then we would click and drag this guy in and put it right there. I'm going to put it over here so I don't mess up too many things. And then this would be the new one. Delete that. But yeah, make sure that your dropdown and your legend are here. You would hit legend, make sure that color legend is there, make sure your filter is here, and you want the measure names so that you can choose all these different measure names and identify them. So this is here. I updated the original, but so let me show you all exactly how to update an entire map or an entire Tableau viz. And yeah, I'm not going to save any changes to this workbook. Okay, cool. So on Tableau public, what you're going to do is identify the viz that you would like to update. So say we're updating data snap. You're going to hit this little download thingy, and it's going to download the Tableau workbook. It's a .twbx file. So here we go. You're going to open this, and basically you're going to go through that exact same process that I described to you. It will be arduous, especially if you're doing data snap, because there are so many different Excel files that are linked in here. And just a note as well, anytime you have an Excel file, it's going to include all of the metrics in your dropdown. So if you have, for example, here, all of these different metrics are on the Excel file. And so each one that is included on that Excel workbook is going to pop up here in your dropdown menu. Yeah, so just don't add anything to an Excel workbook that you don't want added to this dropdown. And yeah, you're basically going to go through that exact same process. Here, if you're making an entire new one, you don't need to go in and copy any workbooks, but you can just sort of edit it here. Yeah, it's a good idea to download the workbook and use it like this in case you mess anything up. You still have that first one back there. Yep. And yeah, so you're just going to go in, identify the data source, edit the location, refresh it when you add new things. And if you're doing more wholesale changes, it's not going to be as straightforward. Some of the metrics look a little bit ugly when they come in. Lots of decimal places, lots of the colors don't look as good when they're first assigned. You may have to change units, and yeah, the tooltips won't come pre-filled. So yeah, it just takes a little playing around with. Yeah, let me think if there's anything else that would be valuable to show in Tableau. Yeah, building dashboards is fun. Yeah, so making the sheets is fairly easy. You basically just grab one of these pills, move them over and into a column or a row, have the things where you want them. One of the useful tools is if you want to swap rows and columns, you press this. Flips the axes. I showed you how to do the color earlier. If you want to change what's down here, format this. I guess over data snap we had consistently one decimal place for everything, just for continuity. You don't really need that here. But for a dashboard, so here, when you create a new dashboard, it's all blank, and then you see all of the different sheets that you have in this Tableau viz. And basically, you can just go buck wild, dragging these things in here, adding things where you want. And yeah, so you get your legends here. You can drag those to the bottom. It usually looks best if you have the legend down below. And then so if you've got these three guys in here, you're also going to want that filter. For these, we've been having the drop down. I find that the drop down usually looks best here, just because when you have it in the list format, it's long and it takes up a lot of room. So if you've got it in the list, you can just select the ones you want. So we want these. This filter is really wide, so okay. This filter is really wide. You could toss in some blanks here. Yeah, and additionally for the filter right now, since I pulled the filter from this sheet, it is only gonna apply to this sheet at the moment. So what you're gonna want to do is hit this, apply to worksheets, and usually do selected worksheet. And then since they're all by the same name, county, press OK. And look at that, filtered by the same one. Cool. Another very useful thing is the navigation buttons. So as you have over on these, I created these navigation buttons to take you to the different pages, to home, to the criminal justice, dim and geo, health and education, and economics. Yeah. And so this one is routed to the economics page. This one's back to the health and education. And if you press edit button, that tells you where you want to navigate it to. So you can have it navigate to any sheet or dashboard. Edit this, and you can have either a text or an image button. Text usually looks the most clean, but there are some instances where you may want an image button. You give it a title, you give it a font, you give it a border, background, and tooltip. It gives you the tooltip while you hover over it. I think we used to have tooltips for the buttons, but just to make it cleaner, we got rid of those. So if we want to make this button, say, and unfortunately it organizes everything by alphabetical order, which is kind of annoying. But that's something you got to deal with. Background. Text was white. I'll do it. So home. Navigate. When you press navigate, that just shows you exactly what the button, how the operate button would operate on Tableau Public. So yeah, those are buttons. Embedding a web page is kind of clunky. It's better if you just have if you want to put a link in, a clickable URL, that works. It's clunky when you want to embed a video from a web page. That doesn't really work. Text, image, all of that is pretty self-explanatory. When you insert another one of these things, I should explain. So when you insert anything, it is going to be nested, sort of like a box. You've just added another box into this grid. So all of these things are locked in, but some of these texts and sometimes the buttons, you want to edit it to floating. So now there's nothing in the background and my button can just be anywhere at once. So usually you want some blank chunks. You can edit this button to be as big as you want. And then you can toss it over here. So there's our button. If you want to add this, make it floating. Add it over here. It's a tiny little title. It is there. And if you want to add an image for a sourcing, for a logo, toss that up here. You can either make that floating or locked in. Doesn't truly matter. And yes, so here is a very important point. Once you are finished making a new dashboard, editing things, right now this is only a local copy. On Tableau Public, nothing is saved locally. So this exists nowhere but my computer temporarily right now. So what you want to do is go to File, Save to Tableau Public As. This is a new workbook. It does not exist on Tableau Public right now. And so what we need to do is save it as a new viz, and it will exist on Tableau Public under that name. Version 2 test. I hope all of this is making sense. Stephanie can give you my email. Even after I graduate, I'm more than willing to answer questions about Tableau. It can be hard sometimes because I feel like I know this stuff like the back of my hand. So some of these things can be intuitive to me, and I know not all of them are intuitive. I hope I didn't go through this stuff too fast. And another clarification point, when you're updating, the first way I showed you how to update, just updating one sheet or a dashboard individually, really the only time you would want to do that is if we had a Tableau viz that has already been garnering a lot of traffic, and we don't want to change that URL or people have it saved. We want to keep that exact same location. And so you would go in very carefully and edit that individual sheet or dashboard that we want to change, double check that everything, that nothing was broken, and go from there. This second method is really what I prefer to do, to just copy the whole workbook and make sure that the original stays intact, and you have that recopy and go from in case anything breaks, or in case some data sources get messed up, so that that original exists where it is, and that anyone that's trying to find it on the web, that original, it's not messed up, and it still exists where it needs to be with the correct sourcing and whatnot. Okay, disclaimer done. I'm not running too long. This is probably 45 minutes. But, so here we are, and it's not scrollable since this last test thing. I only included a way to get out of it, to go home, but no way to get there. As you can see down here, I did not name the dashboard, but it is dashboard 14. that is this guy. Yep. Another point, when you save something to Tableau, it saves exactly in the way in which you left it. So if I have selected these certain counties in the dropdown, on Tableau Public, those counties are going to be left like this. So be careful. I kind of hit a lapse when I saved this and left those things checked, but you're going to want to go back in on Tableau, the Tableau desktop, Tableau Public desktop app, and re-click all when you save it, because you sort of want to present people with the default view and let them go from there, discover what they want to, and not present them with data that's already been pushed. Right on. That should be pretty self-explanatory from what I've done. Not self-explanatory, but I guess what I have done is explanatory. Yep. So that takes you back home. And yeah, Tableau is super fun and a very valuable tool. I hope that, yeah, and when you do update something, just add the source back in, add the new dashboard that you have done. Yeah. As I said, feel free to email me if you have any questions about how Tableau works. I will probably have graduated by the time anyone is watching this video, but more than willing to help and use it as a resource. There will probably be another video at some point doing a more in-depth Tableau training. So you may be watching this and have that up next if Stephanie's assigning you these. But until then, you're enjoying Tableau and School of Government. Stop this recording.